You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
We present What Has War Ever Done for Us?
Ned?
Yes?
Why are we here?
Now that is a very deep question, Julie. It is in fact one of the main questions that mankind has been asking itself since the beginning of time. Why does the sun shine? Why is the sky blue in colour? Why do birds sing in the trees?
Because they can?
Those are the big questions, Julie. Why are we here? The very things human beings have been asking themselves since primitive times. It's the big one, Julie. I won't deny that.
What I actually meant, Ned, was what are we doing here?
Well, like I have just said...
No, not the big picture, Ned. I get the big picture with all the mysteries and such like, the sky, the sun, and the pretty birds in the trees. No, what I wanted to know was why. Why are we sitting here protesting when everyone else is protesting over there?
Never do as others do, Julie. Persuade them to see the error of their ways and get them to do things your way.
Yes, and I know you once read that, Ned, somewhere, but what I meant was, why haven't we joined in?
We are holding our own protest, Julie.
Yes, I can see that. I just don't know why.
We are setting an example, Julie. We are showing others the way we are.
Sitting here alone with our placards.
You see, Julie, it would have been easy to follow the majority today, but I believe we are taking a stand, showing that not all are simply going to go along with all the rest, showing that we too are unique.
Right.
All the great civil rights activists have done this, Julie. The great marches in history, the great protests.
Usually featured more than two.
But started with an idea. It is only the determination of the human soul that can prevail, Julie, when the minds of a dedicated few decide to stand up and say no. That is when the world changes.
Hello, can I help you?
Oh, good afternoon, officer.
Watch it, Julie. It's an instrument of the state.
You appear a little lost. Are you looking for the march? If you would like, I can show you just where it is taking place. It's really not far.
Don't say anything, Julie. One has to be so careful when dealing with those in authority.
I do apologise, officer. He gets very excited on these occasions.
Think nothing of it. People often find it difficult to see the distinction between the uniform and the person. Now, the official protest is taking place.
You can't tell us what to do. We're British citizens. We've got rights. You'll never take us alive.
I see.
He doesn't get out much these days.
Care in the community can only do so much.
This is an outrage. Police brutality.
Hello. What's all this then? More importantly, why isn't it over there, where it should be, with all the others?
We're on a separate protest, officer.
We refuse to play into the hands of the government, or that of the right-wing press.
Is that why, although everyone else is out on the streets over budget cuts, you two are here with signs saying an end to war?
That's right.
I'm sorry to tell you this, sir, but you may have just missed the Stop the War demonstration.
Oh, by how far did we miss it?
By almost a decade, I'm afraid to say, madam.
I did mention it, Ned. I said, look in the diary, it's Andrew's birthday on Friday, saving the world from global annihilation come the weekend.
It was back in 2003, you see, to do with Iraq, but I'm sure we've been involved in some others since.
Oh, yes, I'm sure we have. And if not, we'll only have a short time to wait for another one to come along. After all, there's always someone, somewhere, who has something we'd quite like.
We stand...
Sit.
What?
We're sitting, Ned.
Right. We are sitting here today...
Actually, we were here last week as well. We got the date wrong, you see. Came a week early. Still, it is good to get out and about.
Oh, do anything nice?
Oh, yes, we went to see a show here in the West End. It was the one about, the one
Never
with...
mind about that, Julie. We are standing. We are sitting here...
Because of his legs. He can't stand up for very long, not since the operation. Can't do anything for very long these days.
to make our voices heard.
Which over everyone else, it's not easy.
But what exactly are you here for?
Now, young lady, we've already discussed that.
It says on one of your placards, What has war ever achieved?
Precisely my point, officer.
That is not strictly right, is it, sir?
What do you mean?
Well, many things have in fact been developed either directly or indirectly from armed conflict itself.
Have they?
Like what?
The Oaxaca Valley in Mexico, for example.
And what is so important about that?
One of the first documented cases of writing is that, sir. It appears the development of writing may well have sprung from a desire to record the names of those vanquished in battle.
Hey, now that's interesting, Ned.
And there is a belief by many that it is our large brains that we as a species have that has allowed us to develop further our intelligence and communicative abilities.
Eh?
You mean we fight wars because we have the capability to?
And in ancient times...
Glimpse of stocking.
Often led to other things.
Ladies, please, we are, after all, in the presence of the law.
It is believed by some that the Greek phalanx, with its quality and interdependence, may even have been the idea behind the concept of democratic government, per se.
And they do have the Pantheon, you know.
And what a wonder that is.
You're thinking of Champion the Wonder Horse.
Oh, right.
Oh, and let's not forget the invention of food canning during the times of Napoleon.
Didn't he make the trains run on time?
I don't think so.
I could, of course, go on about the financial boost to America and subsequently the world on the back of World War II, but it's still seen by many as the ultimate stimulus that lifted the global economic paralysis during the 1930s Great Depression. Let's dig for victory, then spend for victory.
I know. I've seen it on the television. Everyone looked really glum at that time. They probably didn't get out much, poor loves.
You're not getting this, Julie.
Oh, but we should not forget the innovations from war during the 20th century.
And what would these be then?
Well, now that you ask, sir, has it occurred to you that the basic notion for radar is just about as old as radio?
Well, I never. Did you know that, Ned?
Oh, yes, man. The first working demonstration of radar with aircraft was in Daventry in 1935.
Know a lot, don't you?
Moving on, sir. Tanks were used in the Battle of the Somme in September 1916. But did you know that they were based on pre-war armoured tractors that, before then, few cared much about?
I told you he was very good.
Nylon, polythene, penicillin, anti-malarial drugs, and even aerosol sprays were inventions that did, in fact, exist prior to 1939. But it was the development and demand during times of conflict that took them further.
I see.
Always a whiz down at station on Friday evenings.
And in September 1944, when a V-2 rocket landed in Chiswick. Well, that was the start of the space race, to say nothing of jet propeller aircraft, which we all now use to fly off to faraway places.
Oh, yes. We do love Spain at this time of year, don't we, Ned?
I went to Melbourne last year. Oh, the heat. Lovely. Still, we could never have done that before.
Amateur enthusiasts have actually done the work back in the 1930s. But it was the German army that took it further. And in the United States, atomic fission was discovered in December of 1938, before America entered the Second World War, and before the creation of the A-bomb.
All right, PC know-it-all. But apart from all these things, I ask you, what else has war ever done for people?
Well, you see, sir, contrary to popular belief, innovation tends to come from those with not only time on their hands to be creative, but those who also recognise a need. War, however, is what then pushes those ideas forward and into production.
Is that so?
The other thing you have to remember about armed conflict, sir, is that it creates a unity of purpose among people.
Now that is correct, Ned. Whenever the nation is fighting someone else a long way away, people are always willing to put themselves out for others. During peace times, of course, we usually couldn't care less. But once there is strife, well, you might even go so far as to talk to the neighbours, mightn't we?
Only in extreme cases, Julie.
Oh yeah, there's nothing like an external threat to make people come together.
I agree. It's good to have a common enemy.
And you got all this from reading, did you, officer?
That's the thing about the written word, sir. It takes a little effort to read it.
Is that so?
That's the TV generation. That's the way I see it. And the TV generation has been replaced by the internet generation.
We all know you cannot trust anything on the internet. Nothing but pornography and rubbish. The internet
Is the world's greatest, fastest, largest encyclopedia in the history of humanity. And what you choose to research is exactly that, your choice. Some, of course, also consider the internet as the only possible way of communication by governments and military structures around the world if a nuclear conflict, God preserve us, should ever happen. The thinking, I believe, was that due to the global web, even after global destruction, information would still always find a way through. The very system the world now does business on.
Why don't you ever put forward a coherent argument like that, Ned?
Because I choose not to. Anyone with half a brain can go and put forward an intelligent, well thought out argument, but it is emotion without thought that so often inspires rash action from millions. I tell you, Julie, far too much time and emphasis is placed on rational, considered thinking. If people thought before they acted or spoke, or did anything, well, nothing would ever get done. We're not looking for the answer to problems. We can all find those out for ourselves. We are looking for those with the loudest voices to tell us what to think. That is the mark of true advancement. When thinking is no longer necessary because the answers have already been given to us. Answers that have been conveyed and explained to all those that would prefer never to have to think for themselves. And I am more than happy to go along with things as they are, as they have always been.
And it is rational, considered thought which separates us from the animals.
And Milton Keynes. With all those roundabouts, no animal would ever have built anything like that.
Can't argue with that.
Now look, don't you think you'd be happier if you just went over there and joined the official protest with all the others? Come on, we'll show you the way.
Look out, Julie, they're trying to kettle us.
Oh yes, let's put the kettle on.
I assure you, madam, no one is trying to restrain your movement.
You may decide to try and baffle us with science, but the question remains. Other than writing, large brains, communication, equality, democracy, canned food, radar, economic stimulus, tanks, the moon race, the V2, the atomic bomb, aerosol sprays, anti-malarial drugs, penicillin, polythene, nylon, unity of purpose, an external enemy, and the internet. What has war ever done for us?
Well,
Yes?
we did get the National Health Service on the back of World War II.
Right, that's it, we're going.
Oh, Ned, it's such a lovely spot here. It's a right little sun trap. I was getting a lovely tan.
I'm not staying to have my deeply held beliefs challenged, especially with facts.
I'm surprised he didn't add death, destruction, famine and pestilence. Oh well, there's no pleasing some people.
Hold on, there's another one over there.
Hello, hello, hello. Now what does your placard say? I see. Let them eat cake. You know what? I think they probably will.
In What Has War Ever Done for Us, Philip Sheehan was the male police officer, with Katie Williams as the female police officer. Norman Newell was Ned, and Annabelle Williams was Julie. Artwork for the production was by Sheila Jackson, and the play was written and directed by John Fryer. What Has War Ever Done for Us is an audio production for Political Art.